Fixing or sticking elements to specific locations within the viewport has been a staple of application and web design for a long time. But up until recently, doing this required a fair bit of JavaScript and some math just to figure out when and where these elements should stick or be fixed. And it was really error-prone because it was JavaScript-based. In modern CSS, we now have both the fixed and sticky values for the position property, and we can do all of this without any JavaScript. So let's see how both of these values work and how you can use them. We'll start with fixed. So the fixed property is typically used to do things like fix a menu or something to the bottom of the screen. So in this example, I've just created a footer, and I say I want to fix this to the bottom. What that means is no matter where I am on the page, I should see the footer fixed to the viewport. The most obvious use for this would be if you have a menu or navigation or something else that you want to fix to the bottom of a mobile device so that it's always readily available where the thumb is when people are using the application. All right, so right now it's not fixed. You can see I can scroll up and it goes away. To fix this item, I simply go to the item and say position fixed. And then I also have to declare the position of the item itself relative to where it is. So in this case, I'm saying position fixed, bottom 0. So I'm saying fix it and then position it to the bottom of the viewport, 0 pixels from that bottom. When I save this, the footer automatically appears on the bottom. And as you can see, when I scroll, it is now fixed, meaning no matter what I do, it does not move. Now, there's one important thing that you have to keep in mind when you do this. When you are pulling things out of context, like I'm doing now by saying position fixed, you are also taking away the space that it would be taking up. So that means you need to accommodate for this new space that's being blocked by the fixed item so that it's not covering some other content. And what you'll notice is here, up in the demo area section, I've set the bottom margin to 5 rem, and that's to accommodate for the space that's been taken up here. If I set that to 0 and save, you'll see the fixed content is now blocking the very bottom of the document, which is not great. So just keep that in mind. If you fix anything to any location, it means it's sitting on top in 3D space on top of other content, and you need to make sure that the other content underneath somehow accommodates for this blocked area. All right, so fixed is fairly straightforward, and once you see how it works, it's easy to use. What about sticky? Well, sticky works a little bit differently, and in this example, I want to stick the navigation. Now, sticky means instead of it being fixed to a specific location, we say that under what circumstance should it start to stick to a specific location. So if I just grab this main nav here and uncomment it, you'll see it says position sticky top 0. So that means when this item here, when the element nav comes to position 0, so top 0, then it becomes sticky, meaning then it doesn't move anymore. Watch what that looks like in the browser. So right now, the item is sitting down here, further down on the browser, so nothing is happening. I can scroll, nothing is happening. But the second the top of the element hits the top of the browser, meaning top 0, it becomes sticky. See? So now it sticks to the browser. And you can imagine, if you were doing this with JavaScript, it would require a lot of math because you'd have to figure out how tall is the browser totally? How tall is this item? Where is the top of the item? At what point in the scroll behavior does the top of the browser meet the top of this item? And only then do you change the CSS property from static to fixed. But then you also have to account for the content being pulled out of the stream, a bunch of stuff you'd have to do in JavaScript. Or you just do it with CSS and it works automatically and it works really well. Only thing you need to remember when you're using sticky is when you stick things to the browser, wherever you stick it, all the contents below it will appear behind. So for example, in this navigation menu here, if I don't want the image to appear behind the navigation menu, I need to add a background color. That's why you see there's a white bar here. That's the background color for the entire navigation element. If I go down here, let's see, you can take the background out for a second, and you'll see it starts looking strange, which is not what we want, right? So if I do this, it's still sticky, but it's not clearly demarked that this is a separate element. So you have to remember to put in backgrounds or borders or whatever you need to make sure there's a clear demarcation between the sticky element and the rest of the content. So now you know you can do all of this with CSS without a single line of JavaScript.